What is up, ladies, gentlemen, germs, germettes, and everybody who's clicking onto this video because they're bored af and want some white noise? It is I, the perv god, the king of stupidity, the laziest YouTuber on the platform, probably. The guy whose content is mostly just opinions and talking a lot. A lot. Now, time for the longest video. Now, before we can get largely into this video, I think it's only right and proper that we introduce the poor suckers. I mean, guests who got suckered. I mean, participated in playing this game with me. And boy, do I pity them, because largely they had to carry my butt the whole way through. You know one of them already because he's been blackmailed, I mean convinced, to show up on this channel multiple times. Everyone, give it up for Smab. And the other poor sucker, I mean person who's joined this horrible disaster, I mean experience. The randomest bird you can ever meet, Random Robin. Hello, my victims. I mean cohorts. I mean
demand
allies.
an amendment.
Did I screw up English again? Or worse?
Nah, you misgendered again.
Oh, I swear, I need to think my sentences through better.
I demand an amendment.
Alright, sorry. Amendment.
Let it be known, Gamin has been a bad dragon.
Game is just crap in English and is god awful at thinking his sentences through before he speaks them. He is known for just yakking away with no brain cells behind it, especially when tired. Yay. Now, my victims here, and demander of the amendment, her, how do I put this? Oh yeah, suckered self, Smab, one of the probably first victims of playing this game with me. And then my other victim, I mean cohort, I mean ally, the randomest Robin. I pity both of you equally. Now, before we get too deep into this, there's something I have to say. There's a reason why this video is going to be long, no matter how hard I edit. No matter what I do. It's because I have that much history, love, hate, and disappointment with Pokemon as a franchise, as a whole. And it doesn't help, I've had too many bad experiences with Tencent. I have tried to play a couple of their mobile games. I've tried to play a couple of their other games that they've released in specific countries. I hate them all. And I'm sorry for the dogs. I can't stop them. Especially since one of them blind. So she's going to bark no matter what. Now, when it comes down to it, from my knowledge, my poor, tortured souls, I mean friends here, also have quite a bit of history with Pokemon. How about we have them give a quick little blurb of just to the degree, or lack thereof, of history they have with the franchise. We'll start with my first primary victim, Smab.
Goodbye.
I feel like that should mean we have a that
no,
you have a lot.
But seriously. I started with Pokemon Yellow on the Game Boy Color, and I primarily played most of my Pokemon, believe it or not, on my Nintendo 64 through the Pokemon Stadium games. And thanks to emulation, by which I will say I own every game that I have ever emulated just for legal reasons, I have played a lot, all the way up to Pearl, and then from there, I think I skipped a generation or so and went to Ultra Moon, which I didn't end up completing because it was that fucking boring.
Oof, that's a lot of history. And not a lot of it sounds good.
I loved everything up until Ultra Moon. I said I didn't play the black and white stuff.
You're probably better off for that, based off of what I've heard and what bare minimum I got to experience. But now, we're
Well,
going to go
I did try
to
Pokken Tournament once. That was a weird fucking fuckfest.
Yeah, let's not start on that one. That's a whole large bag of worms. Because I've played both Pokken Tournament and Tournament DX. And I have no clue where to start with those messes. So we're going to
Though I
jump.
will say my favorite Pokemon game is Gale of Darkness on the GameCube.
As someone who just started playing that, same. Even though I'm struggling a little bit with it.
I've
Even
beaten
though,
that game like 3 times. Now I'm doing a Nuzlocke of it.
yeah, I've gotten. I didn't play it the way you should play it, so I'm getting screwed and losing a lot of battles that I should be winning. Um, don't do what I do. Don't do what King do. Never do what King do. Laugh at King, but never do what he do. It's not worth it. Now, Robin, your experience, history with Pokemon. Try not to go for 600 miles with this, okay?
Well, since the beginning of Pokemon with Pokemon Yellow up to the current Pokemon, which are actually coming up in the next few days, is the Gen 4 remakes. I'll have been playing Pokemon my entire existence, including all the spin-offs.
Would you say that history is positive or mixed bag? How would you go about describing it?
Honestly, I have always loved the Pokemon games. Like, they do get boring, especially once you've completed like everything. Because unless you're battling consistently with them, like I usually end up playing the main stuff and then done. Like I don't battle too often competitively.
Mhm.
I'll go and battle sometimes, but not much. But it does get kind of dull once you've done all the extra stuff in the base game.
That's all very fair. Now that we've gone just the degree of
Otherwise,
history from
nothing
those
bad.
two, let me try and give my history. My history is a complicated one. It's one both of love, of disappointment, and of hoping it does better. Now, it's not because Pokemon is a terrible franchise. Don't let anyone tell you that. It's a franchise with lots of potential. It's just not a game for people who aren't really new to it. Someone like me, you get bored pretty quickly because it's all the same. There's really not even a fix to the difficulty either. Because eventually you're kind of forced to, okay, I'm either doing a Nuzlocke or I'm not touching this game again. Which is kind of a problem to me. To me, what I realized and what kind of just killed the Pokemon franchise for me as a whole when it comes to is it worth buying right off the bat is I eventually just got bored. There was no challenge. In fact, I was often one of the people saying that the first thing they should be adding is a difficulty slider. Something to make it so that this way I'm not pretty much at the end of it all, almost about to reach endgame, and now they're hitting me with a full team. Which is exactly what happened in like Sword and Shield. I wound up just kind of bored because by the time there was finally any challenge or any reason for me to not fall asleep during battles and press random buttons in the process, it was the end of the game. It was the last two fights, which sucked. That it took that long for me to finally feel like, now I need to try. Now I need to not be sleeping through the fight. Which kind of sucked. I always felt like there was never enough challenge for me because I was often sleeping through the fights and winning. That's not a good thing to me. Especially for a video game that I want to like more than I actually wind up doing sometimes. Now, that's not the key issue here. That's not the reason this video alone is going to be as long as it is. They feel it. They know what's going to happen. I'm going to rage a lot. I think they're subconsciously trying to brace themselves for the ranting I will do. And let me just say ahead of time, you two either must be saints or masochists. There isn't much of a room for gray area, though.
I like BDSM. Does that count?
That counts, yeah. I'm thinking Robin's a bit of both, until proven otherwise. He's either both a saint and a masochist, or we're just missing some details on why he puts himself through this. Why he's going to put
He's a
himself
cannibal
through
god.
this. So probably we're going to run with masochist until proven otherwise. I can't help but notice that Robin has fled the scene. I don't blame him.
I have
Because
outed him.
not only has he been outed, but also he can feel what's about to come. Alright. We're going to start off with me, because when it comes to positives, I could write a novella and a half on everything wrong with the game we're talking about today, which the reason I'm not saying the name quite yet is because I have to build up for it, because of how much disappointment I felt during the whole thing. Pokemon Unite. God. Ah! Here we go! As much as I'd rather tie a lovely, pretty noose. This game, when it comes down to it, I am definitely the shortest, which is why I'm starting off with the positives. Because I'm the one who's going to be the shortest out of everyone here. That's including my girlfriend, who has no experience really with this franchise. Yikes. I think the first positive I want to say, and keep in mind, I had to dig to find these. I'm probably the one who had to dig the most to find these. As sad as that sentence is. The first positive I want to talk about is just so far the number of Pokemon they have. I feel like when it comes down to it, a Pokemon game, regardless of what genre you tie it into, the first thing that's always going to be scrutinized if you screw it up is variety of Pokemon. You have to have a flexible roster. You have to make sure that you're catering not just to hardcore fans, but you're also got to make sure that the Pokemon you add can appeal to the casuals as well. And I feel like in that regard, they did a good job. Like, for crying out loud, let me throw this to you guys. Do you feel like they added enough Pokemon variety here to not feel like you're playing the same Pokemon over and over again?
Yeah.
At the start, like, it was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, in my opinion, it just got more interesting the more they added. The only issue, which we'll end up getting into, is each one got more OP and broken as they went on.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll write
But to answer
novels
your
on that
question,
later. We'll write novels on that later. Don't you worry, people. We'll talk about that one.
There was a variety.
Yeah, there was
Like,
a nice.
I myself have like 4 that were my favorite.
There was a nice solid variety. That's something I feel like nobody can really deny or push aside, is that they did a really good variety and have only gotten better at making sure that variety was strong. The problem here is that's really the only upside I can really think of right off the top of my head. Everything else I have to scrape and I have to try and find amongst all the billions of needles in this needle stack. But I'm trying to find the right needle. What? It's like, imagine trying to find a specific needle, specific in design, in a needle factory. That's how hard it is at times to find an upside, especially for me, who not only played with them, but was also pretty often playing solo. And we'll get into that, and by we, I mostly mean me, we'll get into that and ring it a new butthole. But for now, since we're trying to focus on positives, the smart thing to do is go to more poor saps who played with me. I mean, suckers. I mean, friends. Yeah. Totally.
I mean, son of a bitch.
Yeah. I feel like all of you should be saying that, like, on a loop. But we're going to have an upside from the latest victim. I mean, my girlfriend. Yeah. Now, here's exactly what my girl said. She kind of liked how... Now, while I don't feel like this was as dominant as it should have been, I will say to have it point out is completely fair and should and deserves it. Which is you can kind of, in a sense, battle for control of a piece of the map. Now, while you could argue this is done in a lot of MOBAs, well, true, but she also has no experience with MOBAs, for one. Two, there are ways that Pokemon Unite does it that's actually kind of unique to Pokemon Unite. Like, I can't think of a moment where trying to attack the middle boss in the jungle. I can't remember them ever stunning the enemies. Buffs, sure, but stunning the enemies and doing a little damage? I don't know that. I've never seen that. And I played a couple of MOBAs. I'm pretty sure they've only ever just given buffs. Not stun your enemies, make it so you can drop points immediately instead of waiting for the timer. I feel like that's completely unique to Pokemon Unite. So I don't blame her for bringing that up. It is something that's done in Pokemon Unite, but done in a unique way. Something that separates it from others. And she liked it. I don't blame her. It is kind of a cool part. That whole feeling of having your team go up against Zapdos and try to take it down so you can, turn the tide. And by my team, I mean those two. I literally mean them entirely. Because if it wasn't for them, I'm pretty sure the Zapdos would never be defeated in all the times we played together. Like, I've lost count of how many times they've done that.
I pinned most of it on him.
And might I add, just them. I've lost count of how many times it's just the two of them attacking the Zapdos. We have the Zapdos. We won. I've lost count of those times already. It's a lot. It's almost every time we've won. Now, we're going to go to someone who's kind of the most middle ground of us lot. With me at the bottom, my girl. Now you, Smab. Positives. If you can't help it, try not to talk for 6 hours, even though we could.
The game, for what it is in the Pokemon universe, is unique. Well, the Pokemon company is always about branching out and doing new things. I don't think any of those, and I think Robin could probably vouch for me on this one, this spin-off is probably the most quickly accepted as like one of the best next to Pokemon Go. It's got a good roster. It's fun to play when you're not getting your ass absolutely wiped, which we'll get into. But overall, you can have a good time if you're not getting stomped. But you can say that about a lot of games.
And it also helps to have friends, though.
But one thing I will say is, if you want a game where it's AI will probably kick your ass if you're not half decent at the game, try it. They will make you better.
Oh boy. Play against the AI. I recommend it heavily. Because that will correct your crap fast. Now, we've gotten some stuff from Smab. Guess who it is? The next poor unlucky schmuck who got to play this and carry me. Random Robin.
Deuces. I'm just Anyway, I agree. It's fun to play, and it's a MOBA. Like, I've never really played MOBAs, but this is a MOBA I can get into. It's simpler than most MOBAs. Again, like as Mira said, the roster's pretty good. And they just add more and more. So, like, we just got Greedent added to it, which is another random choice out of the nearly 900 that exist. So, it can get a little iffy if depending on what's going on. It is a better team game than some other games. Like, if you can get a good team, you're gonna have fun. Like, we had that one day where we were stomping people like 13 rounds in a row.
Episode 2.
Yeah.
Go check out Smab's channel.
Yeah. But yeah, there's all kinds of them. It's all kinds of good. Honestly, I don't have too much bad to say about it. Like, sometimes you just have good games, sometimes you don't.
I think before we move on to the kind of the neutral stuff, and I'm going to put neutral before we jump to the bad, because if we go to the bad immediately, I talk for about 40 minutes and rant about all the problems here. And I make sure to tear it apart. we're going to hold off on that for as long as we can. Talk about the short stuff. When it comes down to it, I think I want to add one simple thing. A simple remark. Even though I'm going to be tearing this game apart soon, I want you to understand it's not because I hate the concept or I hate the potential. There is a ton of potential here. And I've told both Mira and Robin this many times already. What hurts me the most about this game's huge number of flaws is the simple fact of I see so much potential for a dynamite, awesome, everything I've been hoping and wanting for Pokemon game. That's why doing the negatives at the end of this is going to hurt my soul a ton. I may even be slightly depressed at the end of it all. Because of how much potential. Because of how much I want to love this game. Because I want this to be the Pokemon game I've been waiting for a decade now. Alright, we've gotten that out of the way. Let's talk neutral stuff. Stuff that isn't necessarily an up or a downside. Just stuff that's kind of a, oh, neat. We'll start with me because I think I struggled with this too, probably the most. I did like, even though there are some parts about it I'm not the biggest fan of, I will say for the most part, the change in the UI, I actually kind of dig it. To an extent. There are exceptions. But, for the most part, I did like the change in UI. I felt like it was more intuitive for both Switch and phone users equally. Granted, there are some parts of it I don't like, obviously. With that being said, we're going to go to, I think SMAB will do. We'll go with SMAB.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this quick. Pretty much all the things that I said were good are pretty much in the neutral section. That is all.
I had a feeling it'd be quick like that. Now on to the other sucker. Person. We're going to go to Rabbit.
Bad Dragon.
What? Let's see. Honestly, I don't have anything like overly neutral about it. It feels like any, mobile game. Like I'll add a bit more positive to it even. The fact that it's on mobile and Switch allows a lot of people to give it a try. So, that's kind of a nice thing about it.
All right.
Yeet.
Time for the dreaded moment. The moment I'm pretty sure these two are probably dreading the most, and also the part that's probably making Smab wish Robin took longer on the neutrals. Because now it's time for the video to bloat a lot.
Oh, look, I got an invite somewhere. I guess I'm going. Bye.
The worst part is I wouldn't blame him, because I'm probably going to take up 40 minutes just by myself.
Bye.
Okay. We're going to do the smart thing, though. And we're going to actually we're going to do this back and forth. We're going to start with the person who's going to take the shortest, then to me. To shut me up for a little bit, we'll go to someone else, and then we'll go back to me. Then we'll shut me up again and go to someone else before I end it out. This way, at least it's not 40 straight minutes of me. I feel like that's the smartest thing to go about it. We're going to start off with Robin, though, when we do this. Ready for the nightmare to begin? I feel so bad for everyone. Alright!
What's that over there?
Yeah. I do not blame them for wanting to flee at all. Because they've already gotten a small taste of it, and they regret all of it. And I do mean all of it. Oh boy. So for starters, yay! I'm going to start off with a big one. This one is probably the thing that bothers me the most. And it's very simple. And the fact that they haven't fixed it kind of just pisses me off the most, actually. Stability. Oh my god. I have played a decent number of mobile games. I've played a decent number of MOBA games. I've played a lot of games from many franchises, from many genres. I do this intentionally, but this is one of those games where, oh my god, your stability is worse than any Call of Duty game I've ever played. And I've had the misfortune of playing Advanced Warfare, Ghosts, and so on. I've never experienced a game that is so unlikably unstable. I've lost count of how many times I've gone from I'm in the green to I'm in the red. I've lost count of the many times where that's happened. I've lost count of how many times I've gone from yellow to red. I've lost count of how many times I have lagged to a point of where my opponent is in front of me getting hit to I am dead and they're a mile off. That's not good. It's still like that and has managed to get worse even. As much as it is a cool thing that mobile players can now play, the problem is it has made the game even less stable than it already was. It was already bad in stability. So the fact it's gotten worse is unacceptable, is stupid, is irritating, and it results in the dumbest deaths. Not to mention standing still when you're trying to move forwards. Amongst more stability issues, I could literally write a novel and a half of how many times I've had an issue with stability. And not because of my dog crap internet provider right now. Not even because of them. I can tell when it's them. It wasn't them. If I have to give a ratio of how often it was the game instead of my internet provider, it is a very solid 89% of the time, it is them.
May they rest in hell.
It is Unite. Unite is the 89%. Which is baffling, because normally, that ratio is flipped on its head normally. Normally, it's my internet provider most of the time. Not with Pokemon Unite, it wasn't. My internet provider didn't get a chance to screw me over, which is impressive, because normally they're doing that at least every 5 minutes. Let that sink. Now, before I go on another long tangent, some more, let me do us all a favor and jump to my girl. Alright, let me just pull that up. Because sadly she was too shy and socially awkward to actually just show up on the show.
That said, if you want to hear her voice, she's in one or two of the videos.
She is in the last two. Okay. For her, I'm going to simplify what she said just a little bit just so we can keep things moving at a quickish rate. Hopefully we can keep this video to not being over an hour long. Hopefully. Matchmaking. Oh my god. Matchmaking in this game, like COD, doesn't exist. It does not exist. It does not exist at all. In any way, shape, or in any way, form. In fact, at times it even seems worse than COD. At times it truly does feel that way. That the matchmaking is that god-awful. I feel like I should be charging them money for every time some low-level schmuck gets pitted either against me or I get pitted against someone who's in the level hundreds or some BS. Like, I've lost count of how many times that's happened. Especially when I was playing on my own. I was often getting dumped with teams who are like level 10, level 5. Sometimes I would get a level 1 dude. And then my enemies would be friggin' max level, level 79, level 89. I've had that happen to me a lot. And it sucks all the fun out when you're getting completely screwed over. Not because you yourself are unmitigated trash, but because you're getting paired with a trash low-level team who don't know what they're doing. I've lost count of how many times that's happened to me. Hell, if I had charged them for every time that happened to me, I would be bankrolling Richie Rich's butt every single time I took a breath. That's how often it happened to me. Hell, that's eventually what just kind of finally killed playing it by myself for me. Therefore resulting in me oftentimes having to rely on these two to carry me because I'm too low in level to go up against the people who are getting pitted against. That's not a joke. There are times where it was just me and my girl and we were going up against max level. My girl's level 5. I'm barely 40 something in Pokemon level. If we're talking about like player level, I'm like maybe 22, 23 maybe at best. So the fact that 23 and the level 5 are getting paired with low level characters, but going up against max levels or people in level 80 and such, that's trash. I'm sorry. As much as I want to be saying something positive, I wanted this video originally to be just positives, but that's not possible. But matchmaking is a big issue. And it's even bigger and more gross of an issue when playing by yourself. It sucks. So that's my girl's remark that I managed to expand upon. In case it wasn't obvious. Now from there, we're going to go... Alright, Robin, take away before I go on another rant.
Well, some of the negatives I see is the fact that Zapdos is such a deciding factor. Like, you could be winning the game, and if the team gets Zapdos, well, now they win.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, it's nice when you want to use it to come back, but at the same time, it's like, it's the other team put in so much effort, got as far as they did. Oh, look, now the other team got Zapdos now, though, so all that effort means nothing. That's kind of a weak sauce thing. The price of the cosmetics, like, cosmetics are cute, but they're not that important.
And they're really
The price
not
of the
that
cosmetics
worth
is
their
really
price
high.
either, really.
Yeah, like, some of them are really cute, don't get me wrong, and like, I've used a few of them, but they're just not that important to the overall game.
Like, if maybe they gave you some kind of a buff, or maybe something along those lines, like a small little, tiny, almost seeming meaningless buff.
Or like for instance, what if you wore the Gardevoir outfit and it gave Gardevoir like a quick boost or something?
Yeah,
Like, that would make sense.
that would
But
also
yeah,
add
no,
a
the
lot.
cosmetics, like,
Ugh.
they all cost too much. Getting the getting the coins or anything to even buy the Pokemon is almost a lot of work. Like, you can't even get enough coins to buy a Pokemon within a single week.
Especially after their
Apparently.
change.
Let
Yeah,
alone a
like-
month.
Yeah, like, because Pokemon, the cheapest a Pokemon can be if you haven't got them all already is 8,000 coins, and you can't even get that much within like
There
what?
are
Yeah, basically a month.
there are $5,000, 5,000 coin ones, but which slides
Was
into
there?
my rant. Yay! So efficient. When it comes down to it, there's no point in paying for the 5,000 coin ones. There's no point in buying them. There really isn't. The 6,000 ones, there's no point in getting them. The only ones that actually have any worthwhile or are even worth crap to get are the 8,000s and 10,000s. Why?
Gengar is busted.
Yeah! There's no balancing for them. None. Zero. Zilch. Zippo. Nada. Nine. Niet. Nothing. There is no balancing. And this is the part that actually pisses me off the most. Because there is no balancing. There is no fairness. It is you either buy the 8,000, 10,000 ones and win, or you don't play the game. That's how it breaks down, basically. Or you're left to hope, beg, and plead that someone else did buy one of the 8,000 or 10,000 ones, because at least then they'll be able to carry you. Them. I'm largely talking about them right now, too. They had to carry me because I, one of the new players at the time, didn't have the coinage to get an 8,000 or 10,000 Pokemon and didn't know it was going to be that busted at first. Not until someone, one of them, purchased, I think it was Gardevoir or Gengar, I can't remember which, and then got to play that one and watched all the bodies drop. Yeah. When it comes down to it, that's the part that actually kind of just irritates, angers, pisses me off, and makes me so frustrated to a point where the odds of me playing this game anything more than every other month is unlikely. And even then, it has to be with those two. If those two are not on it, I'm not on it. I'm not touching it. Not even with a 10-foot battering ram. I'm not touching it otherwise. That's a key problem. When an ex-Pokemon fan can't even be convinced to play your game more than once every other month, and that's even with friends, that's bad. That shows you how garbage your balancing is. Hey, if we want evidence and we don't want to rely on Gengar for whatever reason, let's talk about Absol. Want to go over there? Absol's busted to a point of being just complete crap as well. Now, while Gardevoir can be busted, the difference is, though, is you can actually counter a Gardevoir if you're smart, if you have a brain on your shoulders, if it's 1v1, if it's early enough, you can deal with a Gardevoir. You can't deal with an Absol, you can't deal with a Gengar, and if you say otherwise, you're either A, a moron, B, optimistic as all hell, or you're naive. Which one are you? Because the messed up part about those two I just mentioned is you don't need items to destroy people. You don't. Items just make it so you destroy people easier. And that's it. You are already going to wreck them more often than not. Now, before we slide and smap, let's go with one more round of my ranting. Items. Oh my god. Items. Items are both stupid, retarded, and busted. All at the same breath. Why? Because some items are completely busted, broken, and overpowered. Some require you to put on the right Pokemon. Sure, some of them require that. Not all of them, though. They're not all made equal. Some of them are so busted and obvious that you should go with it. It borderlines on comedy. That's before we get into the fact that it's pay to win! Yay! Pay real world money. You can bypass the grind and get freaking bomb tier items that allow you to steamroll fights even though you're level 1 or some BS. You can actually make it so you break the game from your early levels onwards. And you can make it more busted by dumping more money. Really? You want to unlock Pokemon? Well, guess what? Right now, it is an absolute disaster and not worth trying to even do it. Because you're going to have to grind for months to get a Pokemon. Just to get a Pokemon that's worth a crap, you will have to grind for at the bare minimum of 3 to 4 months. Let that sink. Because you can only get, if I remember correctly, it's like 2,100 coins a month. A month.
No, it was, you could get 2,000 something in a week, then they made it 2,000 something in a day, and then they turned it into 2,000 something in a week.
No, it was correct that week. That was correct. It started off weekly. Then it became monthly. I wish I was making this up. I wish.
I'm gonna need some facts on that shit.
I will pull up the game right now. Do not test me. It is a lot. It is practically a month. If not a month worth of grinding.
No, you said months. It took me about a month and a half to save up for Gengar. And that was 10,000.
Did you use Battle Pass?
Not for Gengar.
Here's the thing. To get it, not through challenges, not through, login stuff.
If we're not including challenges, then I can't say shit.
Yeah, I'm just talking about just playing the game.
Then no.
You will be spending a way too long time trying to get just an 8,000. Just an 8,000 is going to take you a long half time. Almost, like I said, I think it's almost 3-4 months, possibly. But that's just including playing the game. Thankfully, you can supplement that a bit by doing challenges and stuff like that. If it wasn't for that, I'd be wringing your neck a lot harder than I am. I would be a lot more aggressive on your dairy air than I am right now. But because they have that, I'm only going to talk about this fact, which is that it's unbalanced. On top of heavily incentivizing you to not play the game and to spend real world money. Look, me and Smab both played Genshin Impact. We both left because it felt like every single time, every single update, there were only more and more incentives to not play the game at all.
Review of that on my channel.
Review of that on his channel. Review of that on my channel. Both a positive and a negative one, if I remember correctly. This, just the whole entirety of this game is a lot like that, but worse in my opinion. Because they're doing it even more aggressively, with even fewer things to do, with an even more repetitive issues that somehow manage to feed into each other and make each other worse. For every single coin thing you can earn through the game to get stuff like items, upgrades, outfits, Pokemon, specialty outfits that change certain stuff. Doesn't matter which coin you want to look at. They all suck to get, and they're all an intense grind. All of them. Why? Well, the obvious reason is pretty simple. F your wallet, give me money. That's the whole format. That's basically the whole game, is an F you and your wallet. For no good justifiable reason. Look, yes, this is a free-to-play game. But that's not an excuse for being greedy as all hell. When you are so greedy that you are EA's wet dream of what to be, that's how you know you're screwing up. That's how you know you're being too greedy. Alright.
What shocks me is the fact that it's a Pokemon Company game.
Yes, and this is... Look, say whatever you want about Nintendo.
It's not a Nintendo game. It's a Pokemon Company game.
You can say whatever you want about Nintendo. Say whatever you want about the Pokemon franchise. This is against everything that Pokemon stands for. And they have allowed it. And hopefully not, but possibly we're going to get more of this garbage. I want you to stop and think about that. Imagine if in your next mainline Pokemon game, you start seeing microtransactions on an aggressive level. On this level even.
You want to turn off that XP share? Give me $50.
You want to have access to this Pokemon? $50. You want to go and have this outfit? $50. You want to make your character look
that
worth
Master
a crap?
Ball? $150.
Oh, you want a net ball? Well, guess what? $25. Oh, you want a dark ball?
That said, these are the worst case scenarios.
True. For now, there's no guarantee that these will come to pass. But the problem is that if 10 cents left to make the mainline Pokemon game that comes up, you can bet this is going to happen. You can bet money on it. Tencent doesn't know how to stop and chill out with their micros. They don't know how to stop and be a good game development company. They don't know how to do anything really that doesn't involve microtransactions, loot boxes, and pay to win. They don't know anything else.
Here's the thing. When it comes to the mainline titles, Game Freak is the only company that's ever going to fucking make them. They're not ever going to let that shit be done outside a house.
I hope
what
not.
I would worry about is the next spin-off title being done exclusively by Tencent.
I don't even want to think of that outcome, because that outcome's just as terrifying, to be honest with you.
Imagine new Pokemon Snap 2 brought to you by Tencent.
Yeah. Every picture, every movement, it's going to cost you money. And that's the
Every
worst.
picture you take costs $1.
It's a terrible feeling, because Tencent, there's really, in where Tencent operates, there's not much you can do. Because they operate in China. What are you going to do?
Revolution!
I would almost love it if that happened. Because it's
Throw
painful.
a Pikachu at him.
Throw a Pikachu. Throw a Zapdos. Throw anything. I don't care. To be honest with you, it's sad, because it's sad knowing that they have come to a state of mind of where they just accept garbage like this and just let it happen to them. That's depressing. Nobody should be getting treated like this in a business. Should not be doing this to their consumers. Look, you want to say I'm being too naive or that a code of conduct isn't in every business? Fine. You're right. EA has been a good example of that honor, pride isn't exactly something worthwhile to them. But at the same time, though, it's still sad. It's still kind of heartbreaking to know that people are going to get taken advantage of over there by crap companies like Tencent. And before I can go on any more of a nice long rant about how garbage of a company Tencent is, my girl thankfully has some other negatives of her own. Stuff that she feels are desperately needed, or are needed in general. Stuff like more maps. Agreed. There's too few maps. And even then, those maps aren't really all that impressive, really, when you think about it. I mean, let me ask you. Do you two feel like this game has the perfect number of maps? Has enough maps, even?
I'm going to be honest, and you're going to hate me for this. I'm going to say yes, but with the very specific extra bit that we should not have to wait hours, if not days, to use them for them to roll in and out when it comes to the Quick Match. Quick Match has beautiful fucking maps. I love them. But I don't want to wait 6 fucking hours to play the one I want.
Well, what about ranked? What about normal? Because we have to include those into the topic of maps, too.
I consider them to be good as they are. Like, the game just fucking started a few months ago. Unless there's a massive fucking event, I don't see them fucking with the main map.
Here's my thing.
I see them fucking with the map on the quick game mode.
Here's the thing. I'm not saying they need to edit the maps they have, per se. But there's only one map you play on in ranked. One. Only one map. From my knowledge, that's still an issue. Is that in ranked, you have one map. And guess what? It's the same one map you play on for the normal map. In normal, you play on one map. I'm not saying they need to change the ones they have, but by now, if I'm making a MOBA, probably the first thing I would have done for the first patch, I would have probably made sure that there was some stability patches done, but as soon as that's done, the first thing I'm adding is a map.
Well,
a free map, mind you, not a pay-for map, like others do.
Let's take, for example, with what you mentioned earlier at the beginning, the new UI with the new season. It's space-themed. Like, you don't have to make a whole new map. Why not just retextualize the current map to look space-themed?
Oh, they have a new theme now.
Yeah, it's some other theme, but to be honest, I'm not sure I even care anymore.
I think it's a monthly thing.
Here's the thing.
First, to play devil's advocate on your end there, Gamin. It'd be nice if with every new season, there was a map to go with that season.
Now, if this was a smaller company, if this wasn't a EA-sized company, I would be lowering my standards of what you need to do. But this is an EA-sized company. This is a company that is huge and has tons of money. Has almost EA levels money. You gotta think about that. This is I looked it up once. I'd have to re-look up the number. But it is a large, overall annual profit company. It is an almost EA level profit company. And they have not really added a single map. They haven't done any balancing. They haven't done a dedicated server. They haven't done anything really. Aside from, here's a new event. And here's a new Pokemon. One new Pokemon. I just feel like what their amount of money is, and for the number of people they have on staff, they're doing far too little. Especially in the improvements and additions way. It's kind of sad that a noob whose so far development knowledge is bare minimum has to tell you, you have the numbers to do something more. You have the numbers to make this a bomb game. If you put in the time, the effort, the money, yes. But if you made sure to put in the money, time, and effort, guess what? This game then starts to become more worth all the price tags that you're throwing onto it then, if you do a better job. That's the kicker for me, is you have potential. You have it there. Just need to put more time and money into it. And all of a sudden, it starts to go and get better then. That's the issue, though, is they haven't really put in what's needed. No new maps from a company that's big enough to have made multiple maps by now, easily. They have enough experience making games, so adding on a level wouldn't be hard for them. It really wouldn't be. And while I would accept like retexturing every time a season happens, I'd accept that. The problem is that's not enough to then make it worth all the microtransactions, all of the pay for stuff. Especially with how sparing and greedily and penny pinchingly it's doled out. I feel like there's really not one thing that screams out at me and says, hey, it's worth it now. No, I still have to do F tons of grind to get a Pokemon. I still have to do an even more F ton of a grind to get an outfit or to upgrade items. It just kind of sucks because it kind of just hurts, in my opinion, that you keep adding and adding more and more reasons to pay people and not play the game. But you don't add anything really that makes any of that worthwhile. I feel like that's something I wind up saying a lot as I play the game is, why am I playing? What's the point? Why am I playing a game where it so incentivizes not playing it, paying money, when I could go and play something that's actually fun, that doesn't incentivize me to leave the game, that doesn't incentivize paying real world money? Why shouldn't I go play those instead of this? Like, there are games that I've given grief to about being either not that great or boring, or games that I haven't reviewed because, in my opinion, the video would be by extension boring because of how bored I was when I played it. I've intentionally avoided reviewing those games because of that reason. And yet, I feel like I'd rather go back and play those boring games again and review them even if it means releasing a boring review. That's how often I'm saying, why am I playing this? Which sucks. Especially for a game I should be glowing about. Because, and this is probably the last positive thing I can say right now, is concept-wise, this is everything I've been asking for in a Pokemon game, while at the same time being none of the things I wanted in a Pokemon game. Let that sink. It is both, is and is not what I've been wanting in a Pokemon game at the same time. Which is ridiculous. Before we go back to Smab, before I go into another rant, before we go back to Smab as well, we got one more from my girl that is a negative. You see, this is something I didn't know they didn't do until my girl told me about it, which blows my mind. There is no option when playing on mobile to use a controller. I want you to stop and think about that. There is no option to use any controller you may have that's compatible with your phone and use that controller. I don't think I need to go long about what's stupid about that. Because I finally got to take a look at the controls for mobile. It's not good. That kind of sucks. And it also makes it so you have to then, for those who aren't used to playing MOBAs or console-ish games on a phone, you now have to spend that time that you could have been learning the more demanding parts of the game. Now you're spending it trying to learn how to work around the very format that you're wound up stuck with. Man, you guys have been silent for a while. I expected one of you to do the mercy of interrupting me.
Honestly, I don't have much else to say about the game. I've already said all the points I had on it.
Now, before I go into another rant, let me make this very clear. I wish it wasn't like this. I wish I wasn't saying as much negative. I wish that with all my heart. But this game is too pay to win, which is normal for Tencent, EA, but it still sucks. It still hurts the overall Arcane experience, especially when you're playing it solo. When you're playing it solo, oh my god, it sucks. Because now you have this full team of 5 dudes. Sometimes they're working as a unit, mind you, even though you're on your own, which is great. But it sucks the number of times where all of us, or even just myself, or just me and my girl, have gotten stuck with pay-to-win players. They're annoying, and there are a lot of them. Am I wrong?
No, I've seen it.
Thank you.
Though I will admit, on episode 2, we did defeat at least 3 teams of pay-to-players.
Granted, we had to go try hard to do it, though.
But it can be done.
It can be done. I will give them credit for that. It's not so blatant to the point where it can't be done. But it's still kind of sad that...
Unless
a coworker
it's
who plays it.
on the OP Pokemon that just came out.
Ugh. I will
Like
also...
Blastoise.
Ugh.
Apparently, Blastoise has been made a chump by Greedent now.
So I've heard.
God.
Which...
Yeah,
Gives me-
Greedent can basically do what Blastoise can do, but more mobile.
Yeah.
And way more powerful.
Yeah. So
But they
I've heard.
actually nerfed everything really bad. I heard about recent updates. For instance, Greedent is now not strong, but he can still do his thing. So it's a little annoying, but not super powerful. Ninetales is actually dead weak until it hits level 10, and then it can actually do things. They nerfed a lot of them, but basically some of the balancing has been thrown out of whack now. So their ability to actually nerf or buff Pokemon as needed is kind of broken.
Question. Have they finally nerfed Absol? Or Gengar?
I didn't get the full details on every Pokemon. I just heard a lot of them got nerfed, and a lot of them, like, basically they buffed a few that didn't need it and nerfed a lot that did not need to be nerfed. And the balancing is all out of whack right now.
Yeah. In case anyone is foolish enough to think this is a new issue, it isn't. This has been an issue pretty much since the game launched, really. Buffing what didn't need to be buffed and nerfing what didn't need to be nerfed. But they still have, don't you worry, they still have moves that allow you to be completely invulnerable, which is the next thing I'm going to rant about. Yay! Kill me, please. When it comes down to it, Pokemon Unite has a glorified issue, which is that there are too
By all
many...
means.
I will pay you to do it, please. Put me out of my misery. When it comes down to it, Pokemon Unite has some specific Pokemon that have a move that give them complete invulnerability to all damage. Alts, useless against them. Abilities, useless against them. Environment, useless against them. Basic attacks, useless against them. And the craziest part is none of them have been adjusted or fixed at all.
I would like to pipe in by simply saying the only time a Pokemon should have invincibility is during an ultimate.
And during being
Some
the
of them
key word.
take far too long.
Like, Cinderace can actually make it so he has invulnerability pretty much the whole game. The whole game if he wants. All he needs to do is attach Shell Bell and spam the same move over and over again.
Mayhap we let the Cinderace player speak of that.
I have never been able to do that.
Okay, basically, Cinderace has an ability that if you pop it, he'll do a kick move, and when he kicks you, he'll have 5 seconds of invulnerability. There is a 10-second cooldown. You can reduce it, though. Don't you worry. Apply Shell Veil and you can do that move instead of in 10 seconds, in 7 seconds. Guess what that means? You are gaining invulnerability every 5 seconds. 3 seconds later, after the cooldown's done, you can pop it again and regain invulnerability. You can do this on a loop. I have seen people do it on a loop. I have been screwed over by tools spamming that ability. Zapdos can't kill them when they do that ability. I, using my ult, no matter which ult I use on which Pokemon, does not kill them. They don't suffer any negative stats effects when I use my ults. They don't receive any damage from wildlife at all. There is nothing that damages them, and there's no way to deal special negative side effects to them when they pop this ability. You better hope that you manage to have your whole team having their ults staggered, or hope that their ults can actually catch up to the Cinderace after a certain time has been spent trying to keep your distance from the sucker. That is the only way to get around the invulnerability, is that 3-second window. Because once that 3-second window is gone, you're SOL. You can't do damage to him now. At all. Nothing can. Now, arguably, yes, Blastoise's ult does give him an invulnerability and gives him a speed buff. Here's the kicker, though. It doesn't do it unless you pop that ult. And you have to not be in the transitioning period, which thankfully is short, I guess. But there's this transitioning period of where the ability is popped, you can deal damage. After that, you cannot. And here's the thing. While it does last arguably a little too long, I will say this. For how many others have abilities that can one-shot even tanks, like Gardevoir, and how Gengar can screw you over by pulling you to him when you're trying to run away, and dish out tons of damage. Great. Really great. Yeah. It kind of makes that whole immortality thing worthless then. But the kicker is, if you don't have a Gengar and a Gardevoir on your butt, you're not going to die. You are not. You have enhanced speed, enhanced damage, enhanced, I think, damage speed even, if I remember right. I know for a fact you have enhanced speed of movement and attack speed. And you also are invulnerable. Granted, this is all an alt, though. You cannot pop any basic abilities, unlike Cinderace, who could pop a basic ability. Cinderace's immortality is a basic ability he can pop whenever. There is no real hardcore, you have to get a certain number of kills. There are a couple others that have a basic ability, not a alt, a basic ability that gives them immortality. So say what you want about how Blastoise was busted, at least for him, it was only the alt that gave him immortality. It wasn't basic abilities, unlike Cinderace. And if I remember correctly, Absol. And Chansey. Or was it Wigglytuff? One of the pink puffballs, whatever.
Blissey can heal. Wigglytuff can put you to sleep. Absol is just a glass cannon. Like, if you caught the Absol before he caught you, he was going down, like, really quick.
However, Absol does have an ability. Granted, it does require some skill to use, at least. Unlike Cinderace, where it charges you. Absol does have an ability that, if popped, does give him a little bit of immortality. Granted, it's like 2 seconds.
I have seen Absol players do a 5-player kill streak in just a few seconds, but it's only happened like 3 or 4 times in the entire time I played the game.
Yeah, I found this out the hard way in a fight with an Absol by myself. There was an Absol who literally popped an ability that I haven't seen people use too often because it's not, prone to kill players quickly. It's like an evasive move. If he pops at just the right moment, he does gain 2 seconds of immortality. Now, no, it's not in the blue bar format. It's because you can't attack him until the move's done. Doesn't matter that you use an ult.
Invulnerability frames, the iframe technique.
It's just an ability that just kind of screws you over because you don't think it's invulnerability because you're so used to the invulnerability being a blue bar. But no, it's an ability they pop that allows them to bounce around the area like light speed and not take any damage no matter what until it's over. I've tried alting when he pops that move. I've tried using basic abilities. I've tried using basic attacks. I've tried using the environment. None of them do anything when he pops that. Aside from you take damage. Mazel tov. Great job. That's your contribution. And like I said, it doesn't help that he can, if in the right hands of a player, can get 5-player kill streaks. And it doesn't help that there are also too many people I've seen and I've gotten stuck with. I think we've gotten stuck with them a couple of times where people would pick Absol thinking this is Call of Duty Team Deathmatch and would just get kills. They don't drop any points at all.
That has happened to us for
So many
the
times.
opposite team where they'd focus on kills.
I've had that happen on my team before when I was playing solo. I've had that happen on other teams where there's a moron or morons who think this is COD Team Deathmatch. It isn't, you moronic idiot. It is not Team Deathmatch. Because you are treating this like it is Team Deathmatch, you are successfully worthless and holding everyone back from winning. You've made
At that
it.
point, Pokemon should make it a game mode.
At this rate, yes. Because at least then those people would actually be worth an F. Because right now, they're not.
I'd actually play that game mode.
Me too. I would. Because then at least then, there's a reason for it. There's a right. There's a rhyme for it. There's an actual worthness to it. As it is right now, though, it is worthless. And it is god awful when you get stuck with those people. Because then it's up to you to carry them. When that's not how this should be. Look, the reason they wind up carrying me is because I typically play this as a small points and then eventually big points. So I rely on them to either hold down a location or I rely on them to dump bigger points. Or at least dump medium
big
points.
smackers. He's the little one that evolves in time.
Yeah, I'm the one who tries to build up his character with small points to then become a non-stop wrecking machine. But in order to do that, I need to rely, which typically I sadly only have these two to rely on more than half the time, which is depressing. Eventually, I was able to rely on my girl, but in a different way than I do really rely on these two. I rely on these two to either dump medium points, dump big points,
Or decimate the team.
or completely be a thorn in the other team's side. I need them to be that. And do I wish I had one more person who could be like that? Yeah. It would make my job still even easier then. But I rely on these two so much because of that fact. I drop in small points, and eventually, once I've gotten to like level 20-ish, that's when I start increasing the points that I drop. But in order to do that, I need to know that I have cover, or that the other team is getting a ton of pressure on the other side of the map. I need that in order to actually do a good job.
Gamin, quick addendum. The Pokemon only go up to level 15.
Sorry, 15, whatever. I will say, though, by the time I'm dropping big points, it might as well be 20, to be fair.
You can tell how pissed off he is. He's getting some of the facts wrong.
Yeah, that's how you can know I'm frustrated and I'm sick of the game, really, and how I'm not likely to play it or even recommend it, really. Now, with all the frustration, the irritation, thankfully, we're almost done with negatives. Sadly, we are at the 1 hour and 10-minute mark in climbing. Like I said, this was going to be a long video, no matter what. It was unavoidable. Smab, any last negatives you want to go with before I close out with my final rant? There's still more. And I'm hoping you cover it so I don't have to talk about it.
I've already mentioned, the new Pokemon that come out, they're generally the most powerful that you can get. If you find a combo that was designed to be broken, you're only going to use that combo, such as with my Gengar, that basically allows it to do, you sludge bomb somebody and you use Hex, and whoever got sludge bombed, you can infinitely spam Hex and kill them. The only one that can really kill you then is another Gengar that uses the same technique. That is a big fucking issue. Absol is pain in the ass. It can wipe teams on its own, but generally that only happens if you're caught unaware, but it's still a pain in the fucking ass. And my biggest issue, the items. They are pay to win in the fact that you can use real world money to level them up, and it says the cap is 20. They are lying. It's actually level 30, and if you have the right specific outfit for your Pokemon on terms of items, whether you paid for it or grinded, they do give you a decent enough advantage to where if you know what you're doing, you are going to fucking win, unless you're dealing with other people who paid for it early on and know all the combos. I also wish that if you lost a game, like lost enough games, you would basically be put against people who aren't as skilled as with what's happening with you. Like, you're losing a lot of games, get pitted with a bunch of people losing a lot of games. If you don't have a lot of skill, get pit with the people who don't have a lot of skill. If you're winning a lot, get pit with other people that are basically upping your challenge. They don't fucking do that. Because if you fucking go and you lose a lot, what's gonna fucking happen is you'll eventually just end up being put against bots. And then they won't even fucking tell you. I had to find this out by fucking searching it. If you lose like 5 matches in a row, they will send you up against bots masquerading as players. And then you'll beat them like, oh, maybe I'm getting it back. And you're immediately fucking decimated.
Which, mind you, is just depressing to go from, I feel like I've gotten better, to, oh no, I'm still completely worthless. That's not a fun feeling. If anything,
But
it's
that's
just frustrating.
if you even beat the bots.
No. Now, yeah, there's only one thing left to talk about now, and I was really hoping you would have covered it, because it instills a lot of anger in me as well.
Well, let's let Robin say a few things.
Robin, please chime in. Please tell me you know what it is.
Let's see. Trying to think here. We already talked about a lot of it.
Mm-hmm. We talked a lot about it. There's still one more, though, a big one.
Yeah, honestly, I can't think of anything else I have to say about it. Like I said, I already put my here 10 cents into this.
Well,
Got him.
Oh god, that was so cringe. Goodbye.
time for me to talk about
Don't worry, I'll show myself out.
Time for me to talk about the last big, huge issue. And this one is retarded. And the fact that my autistic derriere has to tell you it's retarded is sad and pathetic in mass. You cannot play with a full team of 5 in Pokemon Unite's ranked.
Oh yeah, that. You have to play with 3 people.
Uh-huh. You either play with 3 people or you play by yourself. That's how it's formatted.
Well, you can
can
play
do it
with
too.
3, 2, or 1.
But you cannot work or play that game with a full team of 5, which, guess what? That takes the whole core, what I think was their inspiration for this game, which was, Pro League, MLG stuff. You just ruined that. By making it so you cannot play with a max team, you made it so that even if you wanted to make this into a Pro League game, it never will be. Because you decided to put a limiter on how many people can play ranked together. Guess what? We had it for a little while. We were going to have a full team of 5. We were going to have a full team.
We only ever managed 4, though.
We were close to 5, though. Granted, we had some issues that made it so that scheduling didn't work out. But we almost had 5. We had Toad for a little while there, and we almost had my girlfriend. That's 5.
And
right there.
We almost had what was his name? Your friend? Yeah, Drew Pangu.
So we almost had 5, and if we wanted a backup.
And a rando that added me on the game.
And a rando.
True.
So guess what?
So we had a So we could have had if they had allowed it, a grand total of 7 choices.
We almost had a total of 7.
Couldn't get a 5.
So keep that in mind. If we had spent even a bit more time, we probably even could have had a... Because a couple people actually sent me a friend request when I was playing that game. Just before I quit. 2 other people sent a message. Well, guess what? That's 9 right there. If we wanted to, we could have had a literal full starting and back up Pokemon Unite Pro League team if we wanted. Think about that. But because they decided to limit it so you can only ever play with 3, can you figure out what the problem is?
Yep.
It's retarded.
Sadly,
and it makes it...
the low rule strikers will never come back to full power.
That's the messed up
thing. It was a cool name, too.
It was a cool name. And guess what? For the most part, we had what we needed to actually make a Pro League team for the most part. We literally pretty much had what we needed. We had skilled players. We had a full group.
The attacker, the supporter, and me, who does whatever the fuck is needed.
Yeah. And you gotta remember, that's not counting the fact we also had Toad, who, if I remember correctly, was often a tank, if I remember right.
He played Blastoise almost exclusively,
Drew played Blastoise.
Drew was Blastoise, right?
So Drew almost exclusively played Blastoise.
Slowbro.
So we had pretty much everything that we really needed to make a Pro League team and to make a dang tough one to deal with. That's the crazy thing. If you really stop and think about it, we had a team that pretty much had the numbers we needed. Before my girl even gets involved, we pretty much had the numbers we needed. We had a flexible team that can cover multiple different areas. They all communicate. And they're both all desperate enough to do this as a line of work if they were offered money. Think about that.
No, Toad normally didn't play with y'all, by the way. Toad just offers us oatmeal as the league coach.
That still covers a base, though, that we needed. So we pretty much had, like I said...
We needed oatmeal.
We needed a coach. Guess what? Toad can act as a coach. Boom. Problem solved. And that's the kicker, is we had plenty of people, and those people are desperate enough to the point where if they were offered $1 million to play the game professionally, which, let's be real here, considering how most professional, just $1 million is pretty decent. Especially since I'm pretty sure most of us are desperate enough, we would not have asked for a raise, really. I mean, honestly.
$1 million between 5 people?
No. Typically, most people ask for more than $1 million, especially professionals and football, basketball. They ask for billions, typically.
Yeah, at this point, we're talking about a hypothetical alternate universe future.
None of it obviously is going to pan out because, one, there's never going to be a pro league of this game because there's no way to make an actual full pro league team. So it's never going to happen. Then you have to count in the stability issues and the pay-to-win aspect of it all. You're not making this game a pro league game ever. You have no shot because of the way you designed it, the way you won't make servers or improve the stability, because you decided that only 3 people can play ranked together. You made it so this game can never be pro league.
On stability, I once went through a normal game mode, got 30 seconds into the game where it started lagging so hard, I didn't get to play the rest of the game. It just played out for the remaining 9 minutes 30 seconds, and I couldn't do anything.
That's happened to me a
lag
lot,
is so
too. Yeah.
bad, and the disconnections that Robin was suffering early on.
Which I was also suffering from those. Granted, not on Robin's level, but I was also suffering from those quite a decent amount of the time too. And it only got worse. I suffered
those when the phone users came out.
I started having those issues, but then the phone users came in, and it's just like, okay, I have a movie. I get to watch other people play it. That's it. I rarely get to do anything. Hell, half the time when the game was actually playing, I was more often than not just twiddling my thumbs, wondering, when the hell can I play my game? When the hell can I play the game? What the F? When can I play the game? Oh my god. Quit reconnecting, let me play.
And here's the rub. if you thought, oh, if I can't do it against other players, I'll just go play against the bots. Here's the issue. You'll also get phone users on your team, so even if you're fighting the bots, it still happens.
Yeah. And it doesn't help that you can't have this one going up against bots. Because the bots, when you play it against just bots, when you set it up that way, oh my god, they always, without fail, tailor their team to wreck whatever you have. So now you have this issues with the stability. Then you have to deal with bots who are intentionally making it so that no matter what, their team is perfectly designed to counter you and all the others you're stuck with.
But that is also where the challenge is why we recommend playing against bots.
Ironically enough, yes. Although I do hope you don't get stuck with mobile morons like we did. Because then it just makes it harder than it already is. And not in the good way. Not in the challenging way. Which sucks. This game is one of those games where I want to be talking positively because it's a Pokemon game. I want to be gushing about it. I want this to be that Pokemon game that helps bring me back into the Pokemon fan fold, as I like to call it. I'm not back in as much as I want to. I want to, but I'm not, which sucks. I was hoping this would be an infinitely better Pokemon game than it actually is. Even I wanted it to just be a better MOBA, even at least, and it's not.
Well, on the good side, at least we have the Arceus Legends to look forward to.
Not gonna lie, that game looks like absolute fire.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it's good, because otherwise I might cry a bit. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been waiting for a Pokemon game to finally bring me back into the fold, and it hasn't happened in over a decade so far.
Like Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, not really interested.
I mean, I'm gonna get them.
The best I can be bothered to do for that is rent. That's the best I can be bothered
And that
to do.
also brings us in with that, because it's like, between the two of us, like, we love the game. Robin loves the game. Like, he's the only one willing to actually get those games.
I might,
But
depending on how Arceus goes.
For me, I'm buying Arceus. I'm probably not really touching the remakes, considering my heart can't take a Nuzlocke, as we found out. I wish
I'm doing
I
the Nuzlocke
could, though. You can't Nuzlocke now. We're recording a video.
No, not right now.
It's just, I think the ending statement I
More like
want
a
to
headlock.
end on is also the same statement that my girl ended on, even. This game probably would have been a lot better if anybody else had been in charge of development.
Game Freak is honestly starting to wear thin on me.
It might be wearing thin, but can you truly tell me you would prefer this, where it's pay to win out the butt, and instead Game Freak, which would have been no pay to win aspects, but probably a little boring and formulaic? Yes.
Gamin, name me one company that would do better and would not add any kind of monetary transaction to it. And
Falcom.
What com?
Falcom. FALCOM.
Fal.
They're actually
That's a MOBA game.
Company. When the fuck did they make a game last?
They just released.
They would still have to make microtransactions for a MOBA like this. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense.
Here's the thing. Based off the way,
I mean, like monetized in the way that it's like ridiculous.
Let me say this. Falcom, despite being a small studio, has been making games. They've Trails of Cold Steel, Trails of the Sky. They've even just released Trails of Cold Steel 4 not long ago. They also are making more games right now. They already have 3 games up and coming. 3.
I'm pretty sure they're part of Wise.
Here's the thing. I only know Falcom for helping make Brawl Brothers,
Yeah, no, they haven't done that in forever.
and that was before I was born.
So, but they've released a lot of JRPGs. But here's the kicker: I've seen the potential
You're
of
wrong.
Falcom, and I can tell you right now, if they were to dabble in a Pokemon Unite, based off the way they handle themselves, would there be some microtransactions? Sure, but guess what? None of it's going to be pay to win though, because they already had an opportunity to do that. Instead, they made cosmetics. Granted, do I think that that's exactly what should happen? No. Do I think that they could nail it though? Yes, because I've seen how good they can do things. Now, there's another big reason for why I said Falcom specifically. And it's something that I feel like would actually help Pokemon Unite a lot. An actual single player offering. They don't have that.
Mm,
If Falcom, though,
a
even if they're not
fucking
the focal
story
point,
mode for Pokemon Unite.
not,
Oh, that'd be fucking brilliant.
see? You get what I'm getting at now, right?
That'd be brilliant.
That's exactly something that Pokemon Unite actually needs, because not only does it help to kind of flesh out the overall value of the game, but on top of that, it kind of adds what Pokemon Unite sorely lacks, which is something for the solo player to do. The solo player has
Robin, what's your opinion? What's your opinion on story mode for Unite?
I feel with a MOBA, it isn't as much sense. Like, how would that work? Would it just be like normal Pokemon where they just one-on-one take turns fighting until one's beaten?
the problem
Because if you're
is
playing Pokemon Unite one-on-one, like, you're just going to be dunking points on each other. It's just whoever gets them faster wins.
here's the issue. There's no way to know how it would go down because it doesn't have it.
Yeah.
It hadn't even entertained the thought of it. So it's kind of hard to predict
Like-
what exactly would the format be.
I could see this for story mode. You click story mode. No, it is not going to be single player. It will have 5 players. They would be random people, but there would be story put to it.
That's one great way to go about it. Then another way you could go about it is you could be, for example, just to pull a random BS out of my butt. And keep in mind, I'm not a writer for good reason. One other thing is you could kind of portray this narrative of you have to work with these people because you're trying to not just save the world, but we could throw in a bit of a whole, these people are people who you've gone up against and got smoked by. So then it kind of becomes this whole narrative of you are now putting aside your differences for a common goal.
They could also use the story mode bit to introduce new maps for standard and rank play.
Yeah. Or even for
New season comes
normal play.
along with the new story content.
Yeah. And the thing is,
Shadow Pokemon come back.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I would love that.
in case you can't see the evil smile on my face, I'm just picturing it, and I love it. I love that, actually. But it's just, it needs something more.
Shadow Pokemon need to come into the fold again.
Yeah. I just feel like this game needs something a bit
Pokemon
more
needs
than
to be darker.
just what it has on offer right now. It needs
I want a
something
Pokemon
little
based off
extra.
the manga where the Pokemon actually die.
Yeah.
If you read the OG manga, Pikachu has a dick and he fucking uses it.
Like a champ.
So far, my hearing is the comic should have been used a lot more often in this game. And a lot
If the
more often.
anime was based off the manga, the Pokemon anime would be way more popular.
It would be on Adult Swim at midnight when no one is watching.
So that sounds
It'd
good.
basically be on
I
Pornhub.
love that, actually. As someone who's sick and tired of the whole, freaking kitty vibe of the whole thing, I would love that. I would love a grown-up Pokemon.
I
Oh,
want
God.
Ash to be at least 12 years old now.
Okay.
Give me that and I'll be okay.
My brain's just like, if Pikachu learned English like Meowth, would he sound like Danny DeVito?
He did speak
Yo.
in the movie.
I would actually love it. I would love that.
I can tell you right now,
Danny
they gave
Chew.
Pikachu a voice in the I Choose You movie, and
Yeah.
it's a cute little mousy voice.
Yeah, I prefer.
Yeah,
and
I
that's like-
know it's
that's
Ryan
supposed to
Reynolds,
be-
but I'm
No,
going
no,
for
no,
like
not Detective Pikachu. I'm talking
Oh.
about the actual anime
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, the anime
Oh.
movie did add.
They made him speak because Ash asked him why he wouldn't go in the Pokeball,
Yeah.
and
But,
Pikachu gave him an answer.
Oh,
Personally, though,
why'd they ruin it?
forever.
I prefer the
They
Danny
ruined
Chew
it.
idea,
They
though.
ruined it.
I prefer
They
Danny
fucking
Chew.
ruined it.
I totally prefer Danny Chew. Anyways, I'm gonna have to call the video here though, because we're already an hour and 32-minute long video, almost 33, in fact. Yeah, that was unavoidable though. And what's worse, I don't think there's really much I can cut.
All right, last little bit.
Yeah.
Very short from each of us, anecdotal. One thing that could be used to fix the game.
I think for me it would have to be something to flesh it out, like a story mode or a single player offering of some kind, just something
Take
along
the
those lines.
Zapdos mechanic out of it.
That's a good one too. You Smab?
All the shit that requires money should be fucking half off all the time.
Yeah, I think the one from my girl would probably be.
And I don't just mean real money. I mean the money that's required to buy Pokemon.
I think if I have to
make
think
it
of what my
cheaper.
girl would
You
choose,
should be given more money. You should be given more virtual free currency, and everything should be half price all the time.
I will say for my girl,
Also, I agree with that, boss.
I think my girl would have to be matchmaking. She would go with better matchmaking, so she's not getting overrun by higher and higher level players when she's
like
level 5.
Yeah, like skill-based matchmaking.
Yeah, just matchmaking, skill or otherwise, just something, anything at this rate.
So
Skill is the ideal way to
anyone
go about it.
who worked on that game or is working on this game somehow manages to slog all the way the fuck through this, please think about it.
Please.
But I would also like to do an official ending here where we give it a simple rating, something out of 10.
Agreed.
It doesn't even have to be a number.
I'm gonna give it a
Just be
number
something out of
just to be.
10.
I'm gonna give it a number just to keep it simple for me, just so it kind of fits with what I do on my channel on average. If you guys don't want to go with a number score, cool, that's fine. Now we're gonna start at the most positive end. We're gonna start with Robin.
I'd rank it playable. It's rough, but it's playable. Dive.
I would rate it from trash, decent, fun, great, keep playing. Straight in the middle of that, right there. It's a middle of the road kind of game.
So, I think knowing my girl as well as I do, I think she would probably give this either a 5 or a 6. Now, the reason why she would say 6 is when she would play with me, knowing her. But without that, 5. Now me.
But I would say I wish I could give it an Ahego face.
For me, this game, due to all its BS, due to all the frustration, irritation, anger, annoyance, disappointment, and due to me not even just looking at it from a gamer's perspective, no matter which aspect of myself I look at this from, the highest I can give it is a 4. That's the
Give
best
it more
I can give it.
dragons.
I can do nothing higher. I can't. Between how much worse stability has gotten, I could be convinced to give it a 5 if they fix their stability and make it so that this way it's not as much of a disaster to play it. Neither of those have happened, so I've given up hope that it's going to happen. Now, if one of these two goes back onto this game eventually in the future and they see it's stable, then they can shoot me a message more often than just once every other month. But for right now, the only time I'll maybe take it up again is if I find out a certain random person is streaming it sometime in February. Until then, I don't touch it. I'm not even going to talk about it after this. I'm not going to think about it after this. It's more a 3. It is a 3. Not because there's no good concept, but just because of how many stability issues there are. I have to give it a 3. no matter what. I can't give it higher than that because of the stability issues. Because of how many other issues are compiling onto it. This is a 3. Now, a 3 doesn't mean that it has no potential. It just means that even though you had potential, you just didn't do enough to ensure that it was a great experience for me. I've lost count of how many times I thought about just deleting the game. And if it wasn't for having some friends to play it with, right there, I would have quit. I would have forfeited and I would have deleted this game way long before. But because they were there to help support me and help, make this a fun, worthwhile experience for me, they're why. And right now, Tencent, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to my overall time put in this game, you should be thanking them. You should be kissing their dairy air right now and practically sucking them off, saying you both are awesome.
Ooh.
Thank you for keeping this guy in this game.
Oh, God.
That's how bad of an experience it was, especially when I was on my own. It was a disaster. It was horrible. I hated it. They made it worthwhile. They made it fun. You owe them as far as I'm concerned.
Tencent use lick. Super effective.
Yeah. You better lick them more than lick a tongue. Got it.
You come at me with that shit, you're getting the blade.
Now that you say that, I want Lickitung in the next patch.
Is it wrong that I would too?
Dude, Licky would probably be so busted.
He would be busted, but it'd also be funny as hell.
Yeah.
Granted, I would hope they would balance things out better in the future. It won't happen, because it's Tencent. They have to incentivize you to pay real world money somehow, because they don't do it aggressively enough right now.
Before we have Gamin go on for another 20 minutes,
yes, please stop me.
Subscribe to his channel.
You are the subscriber now. Subscribe now.
Do me a favor and also subscribe to them.
You are a subscriber now.
Show us the way by subscribing to channel.
Do me a favor, if you're someone who's watching the video who's not subscribed to them, I do recommend it. Random Robin 99 does tons of streaming, and he does it randomly, so it makes the experience really fun. He also
Take
does
away
YouTube.
the 99 when you look up YouTube.
It also does YouTube videos, which are... I haven't gotten caught up yet, because I'm still trying to get caught up on 6 or 7 other channels. I'm sorry for that, homie. I'm apologizing to both of you with that line, because I'm so far behind.
Well, in Mira's case, you're basically a part of that channel anyway, so...
True. I still want to rewatch the stuff and watch the stuff I haven't seen yet, but I've been so swamped trying to get caught up. I also do recommend checking out Smab's channel. Primarily does a lot of streaming, does a lot of other videos as well. I do recommend checking them out. They're pretty funny.
I am slowly becoming a variety channel.
Yeah, slowly. If you, for some reason, want to sub to my channel, I am going to warn you, my channel's not quite as hardcore, not quite as, invested. My channel's largely an opinion-based channel with some reviews.
I don't post every blue moon.
I post I try to do it once a week, but I've screwed up my timing on that a few times due to me being lazy as a person. And no, not sleepy lazy,
you'll be lucky
just procrastination lazy.
You'll be lucky if you get 8 videos a year.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to try to fix that, make it so I do it more regularly, but it's just kind of the way things fell. I'm also going to be out of town soon, so I'm sadly not going to be having a video out for a while. Or I guess I could try using my phone, but it wouldn't work very well. It'd be very likely to fail. So I make no promises.
But, again, before this gets to be an extra 20 minutes longer.
Yes. We're going to head out before I can manage to somehow weasel into a rant. Again, check out their channels. Totally worth it.
Run.
Really great.
Run while you can. Escape.
Get out! Run! Because you are the subscriber now!
Leave your lives.
Subscribe and get the hell. Run.
See ya.